Boom! It is Friday, and I hope you're all having a fantastic one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another jam-packed Allincrypto daily market update. As always, we have a lot to get into, and I do apologize for not being on the camera this morning. I have left my camera at home, obviously currently filming at the office because we're looking to do and get some interesting filming done in regards to content coming in the week ahead. We're also moving office, so lots going on. But we've got a lot to get into as always, and there's a lot taking place. My job is very easy as somebody that has to comment on the cryptocurrency space because there's always something to talk about. And we're going to be talking about President Biden today. Yesterday we looked at Trump and his kind of renewed, perhaps, stance on the cryptocurrency space. I did say Trump was a very polarizing figure, and I could see that reflected in the comment section. I happen to think he's going to do very well in this election, but that's just my own opinion. And he has came out very pro-crypto. And of course, you've got Biden that is now recently came out, I think this was either yesterday or today, and said that he's going to back Gensler as House advances resolution to power check the SEC. So Congress has came out and said, whoa, Gensler, you're really overstepping the mark here. You know, you're not really helping anybody at this point. And of course, Biden's came out and said, nope, we are going to back him. And of course, this has came off the back end of what took place on Wednesday, which is legislation that would overturn SEC rules preventing highly regulated financial firms from custodying Bitcoin and crypto passes the House. So Bitcoin and crypto. So I do believe that you are going to see exchange traded products for the altcoin market eventually, and we're positioned for that. I think that's what sees our total to technical target get hit at $3.7 trillion. But we're going to be really starting the video up here, diving into this. We're going to be looking at a clip from the man, the myth, and the legend, somebody I'm a big fan of, Mr. Charles Hoskinson, somebody who is a light in the cryptocurrency space. Say what you will about him. He's done nothing wrong, but he actually chimed in on Biden and crypto. We're going to be playing a clip from that. We're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, some of the indexes to tell you guys that actually the bottom of this pullback is likely in, and we're getting that from a number of different angles. But let's start the video off. So Biden backs Gensler as House advances resolution to power check the SEC. Gensler, who has in the past denied that he is working against the clock, could be looking at a serious uphill battle after November should the Senate or the White House flip. So remember, Trump yesterday came out very pro-crypto. Of course, you've got to remember these politicians have to be fair, that they will literally say anything to get elected, whether they believe it or not. It's a very... And I also noticed in the comment section yesterday, you definitely have some single issue voters that will literally vote based on what side these candidates see themselves on in regards to crypto. So President Biden has promised to back Security and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler after a resolution to overturn an agency's accounting practice advanced out of the House Wednesday evening. The House Wednesday evening approved a joint resolution 109, which would invalidate the SEC's staff accounting bulletin. The measure now moves on to the Senate, but Biden administration warns it would veto the resolution if it makes it to the president's desk. Limiting the SEC's ability to maintain a comprehensive and effective financial regulatory framework for crypto assets would introduce substantial financial instability and market uncertainty, the Biden administration said. Let's just reread that. Limiting the SEC's ability to maintain a comprehensive and efficient financial regulatory framework for crypto assets. There is none. I wish I had the camera on right now. Just crazy. Obviously, Tom Emma, we've spoken about Wiley, I can't remember his second name, a number of them. But this is, of course, came on the back end of obviously what took place in regards to overturning the SEC, preventing highly regulated financial firms from custodying crypto. How can they do that when they've allowed a exchange-traded products? They're allowing BlackRock and their buddies to hold it, just not the little companies out there. And this is how things go. What I want to do now, guys, is jump into a clip of Charles Hoskinson talking about this very issue. And then we're going to be getting on with the video, diving in from here on out after the video into some technical analysis and why I think actually the bottom for the cryptocurrency space, certainly when I look at Ethereum in a bull flag, the bottom of this pullback may be in. So let's dive into that.
So, as many of you know, we've had a bit of a disagreement with the current administration about how cryptocurrencies should be regulated. And the issue has been that in the absence of laws being passed, that the US cryptocurrency industry has to deal with regulation by enforcement. And of course, the enforcement, regardless of the outcome in the courts, is tone deaf and continues to carry out a same policy, which has cost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of American jobs, as well as the loss of $1 trillion plus industry. In my own personal experience forming Ethereum in Switzerland, since Ethereum was founded there, 1,290 businesses have followed for a total market value of over $380 billion. Those, plus the businesses in Singapore, plus the businesses in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, just to mention three jurisdictions, probably would be more than 3,000 firms, of which the majority probably would have domiciled in the United States had our crypto policy been reasonable. Today was a very interesting statement from this administration, and let me share it with you. As reported by Bitcoin Magazine, just in, US President Joe Biden administration says Biden would veto legislation that allow highly regulated financial firms to custody Bitcoin and crypto. To read off the statement of administrative policy, the administration strongly opposes passage of HJ Resolution 109, which would disrupt the Securities Exchange Commission's work to protect investors in the crypto asset markets and to safeguard the broader financial system. HJ Resolution 109 would validate SEC staff bulletin, blah, 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 just a bunch of noise and garbage. So it's one thing to have regulation by enforcement. It's another thing to say that when the legislative branch comes together, they talk to everybody and they come up with proposals to how for we as a nation can innovate and move forward, to say that you'll just veto it. Securities Exchange Act was passed in 1933 to say that it is sufficient to regulate assets that came 90 years later is an absurd statement. Cryptocurrencies can be commodities, securities, currencies, loyalty points, non-fungible tokens, all at the same time. So how do you do asset-based regulation when things can move between categories on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? And facts and circumstances can change all the time. The legislative branch's job is whenever emerging technology comes into play, to look at that emerging technology, whether it be the Digital Millennium Copyright Act or other acts, for example, with the internet, and say we need new laws and new categories and new definitions to accommodate for the fact that people have done things.
So I agree with my boy Charles Hoskinson on all of that. It is ridiculous. It's tyrannical. It's outdated, the approach that they're taking with the cryptocurrency space. But I do think there will be resolve. And it does seem like the Biden administration is more against the cryptocurrency space than they are in favor of it. And, you know, this industry is going to change the world. I've always said blockchain is going to be the kind of netting of the world that we're moving towards, and they're really stifling that. Maybe they're stalling so they can get their own actors in, who knows. Let's talk about why potentially the bottom is in for the cryptocurrency space. So we know that Bitcoin crypto has really been going through a pullback, along with risk more generally. This is the S&P, which I did speculate may have broken out of a broadening structure, found support on the midpoint, broke out to the upside, supported off it, and now it's continuing higher. There is absolutely nothing bullish about the S&P, which is an index for the US stock market, the DAX, which is an index for the German stock market, gold, which is a barometer for the anti-fiat category, things like silver, which is doing very well. We can look at further afield ETFs like the FTSE 100. This is breaking out into new all-time highs. Why is all this happening? Well, it's because debt is at a, the money supply continues to grow, and assets are a part of that, and that's going to continue to accelerate along with global liquidity cycles and things like this. So the broad macro is very much taken care of. And of course, Bitcoin is the fastest horse in that race. If you divide Bitcoin, which we don't see anybody else do, by the SPY, or perhaps by the NASDAQ, or perhaps by gold, it's in an uptrend. You can also divide total 2 by the SPX. You can see this is very textbook sort of, for me, stage analysis, breakout, and looking for that higher continuation, certainly on the weekly time frame. So crypto is going to be the fastest horse in this proliferation game. On the short term, I do think there's a good chance that we may have bottom. This does look like it's sort of squaring out. It's been in a bit of a channel, bit of a descending structure in what is an uptrending trend. And I do think there's a bit of a deviation here, but this likely might want to do a little bit of a push higher. We did look at some smaller structure for Bitcoin here, but very much didn't run. And you can see now have put in this. We were looking at a bit of a head and shoulders that would take it to highs. That definitely wasn't the case. When we look at things like Ethereum, so we've looked at the SPY, which is the kind of broader macro. Remember, Bitcoin is just, if you overlay it from a QQQ3 chart, which is a 3x NASDAQ chart, they move very much in sync. And that also is backed up by Bitcoin against the NASDAQ, because it loses ground against it when the NASDAQ's going down and goes up against it, being a higher beta when the NASDAQ is going up. But if we look at Ethereum, which is clearly, again, in an uptrend, having a well-deserved pullback, I do think you've got a bit of a bull flag here for Ethereum that you are likely to break to the upside out of. Let's go down the time frames a little bit more. Can you see this? This is a bull flag, in my opinion, that is going to see Ethereum move to the upside. Bit of a range, and I do think you are going to come out of the right side of this. If we look at the total 2, which is where we get that $3.7 trillion market cap for the overall cryptocurrency space, I also think this is kind of rounding off a little bit. Double bottom present here, potentially may look to sort of gain some ground. I'm quite bullish on this. Also, if you look at things like, for example, Solana, again, double bottom-esque. If you look at many charts on more of a zoomed out view, like H-bar, for example, you can see really where they, and we'll take our draw off here, came back and supported. You've got lots of support sort of coming into play across the board. So I do think there's a very good chance that the cryptocurrency market has bottomed here from the pullback that it's been in. And we are looking at broader continuation. Remember, we still have higher targets for loads of altcoins, of course, Bitcoin itself. And when you assess the overall picture of the macro landscape, it's a very bullish one. I can't believe there's still people bearish. Not only have they been wrong, when we've largely been right on this channel for nearly 2 years now, but they're almost doubling down at this point and still, taking a bearish approach on the markets because they expect, or they're fearful, when, yes, okay, there's always going to be reason to be fearful, but timing is everything in the markets. People can predict there's going to be a crash like Robert Kiyosaki for 100 years and then, be right on the 99th year and say, okay, I got that right. Well, no, actually, you didn't. So that is really it from me, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize about not having the camera on. Just a short and sweet one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and have a fantastic Friday, guys. I'll see you in this evening's video.